Hello and welcome to another edition of the Solid Rock, Minnesota podcast, a place to swing by for a brief moment for some stories or news and things to ponder. It's a place to take a small pause from your busy life. So grab yourself some coffee or a mug of tea or a pop, as we like to call it here in the North Country, and kick back for a moment. Take a breather. Every year, the first Saturday in May, we set aside a day of travel and work and reunion. This may not be a big deal to many, but in my family of origin, it's a day of remembering and honoring those in our family who have gone before us. It's a time when many of my extended family will make a trek north to the family cemetery up near the small town of Gray Eagle, Minnesota. This is a tradition that's been passed on through the generations, and hopefully it will continue with my children and their children's children long after I'm gone. The task consists of raking the cemetery grounds of what I'm thinking is at least a ton of downed pine needles. There's century-old mass of white pines that are standing that reach skyward. Each family takes an area near their family plot and rakes and gathers down branches and hauls it all to the enormous pile at the end of the property. Or if you're really lucky, and I mean really lucky, someone will come by with their tractor and trailer and pile the needles on to haul away for you. It starts early in the morning and usually is completed by about noon, at which time there is a barbecue with many different kinds of food that each person brings up to share. There usually will be close to around 80 to 100 people there. Last year, though, because of COVID and having to isolate, there was no day of gathering. And after asking around different family members, no one could recall another time that cleanup day didn't take place. Maybe during the Spanish flu pandemic, but no one has any memory of a story of the day being called off ever. For as long as I can remember, Cemetery Cleanup Day has been around. We have tried to pinpoint the exact number of years this has been going on, and the best guess is, forever. Or at least 80 plus years that my ancestors have taken the first Saturday in May to come to Bearhead Union Cemetery and clean it. Since I was a baby, I've been brought to Bearhead to be with my relatives, both above and beneath the ground. Oftentimes, I can remember standing by a gravesite and listening while one of my older relatives would tell a story about the family member whose graveside we were standing near. Seems like nowadays it's my brother and my aunt who tell the history and stories. They're the family story keepers. Since I have had my own kids, we have made the journey back to Bearhead many times. And in the past few years, my children have begun to bring their children with rakes in hand. This year there were many that couldn't make it, some due to other things happening, illness, or the miles between Bearhead and where they are now, being thousands of miles away. As the years go by, the number of relatives buried there has increased. There are great-grandparents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, and even one more generation buried at the old homestead up on the hill nearby. With all of the generations there, both above and beneath the ground, there will be about 7 or 8 generations intertwined at the cemetery on that first Saturday in May. The impact the ones who have gone before me have had, and the impact that the ones standing beside me have had in my life, is just beyond what I can comprehend or express. I'll stand there looking out at the tombstones of my relatives, and while holding the hand of a grandchild, or watch my cousin's grandkids, and become aware of the blessings that are passed on to each of us through the generations. We are all related. My hope is that as I go through my life, I can always be aware of the blessings that have been passed on to me from those that have gone before me. I continue to hope for the opportunity to have the chance to pass those blessings on to those who will go after me. I pray for the wisdom and the guidance to rake away those things that will not be a blessing to those who will follow. Let that be the legacy we leave behind those that follow, because after all, we're all related. You've been listening to the podcast of Solid Rock, Minnesota. We're honored and happy you've taken the time from your busy day to give us a listen. If you've enjoyed spending a few minutes with us, please tell your family and friends to stop by and check us out. Feel free to leave a comment here and subscribe to the Solid Rock, Minnesota podcast. You can also stop by and visit our website at www.solidrockminnesota.com. There you'll find links to our blog and also the local weather here at Solid Rock, Minnesota. Always a conversation starter. Also, send us your post office mailing address for a free authentic Minnesota postcard with a personal message to you from Solid Rock, Minnesota. There's no strings attached. Just send us your mailing address and we'll send you a postcard. It's all absolutely free to you. We just like hearing from listeners and see where you're all from. Until next time, may you be surrounded with life, laughter, family, and friends, people who truly know you. Many blessings.